Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today I'll show you the game played by Hikaru and Haik, and the game starts with the knight to f3, knight f6, d4, e6, then c4, and b6, and g3, and bishop to a6 attacking the pawn, and now b3 protecting the pawn, and bishop to b4 check the king. And here is the first 5 move, and you can see that the white is slightly better. Bishop to bishop e7, then the knight keep on develop, knight to c3, and d5 was played. Then the pawn c takes d5 and the e takes d5, then bishop to g2 preparing for castling, and the white castling and the black castling and the white castling, and after this you have a rook to e8. Then white continue to play a rook to c1, then knight b to d7, and then the knight go to the center square, knight to e5, and bishop back to b7. Then the white continue to develop and attack using the bishop g5. The knight to f8. Then e3 was played and keep on the good pawn structure, and now the knight to e6 attacking the bishop, and here the bishop takes the knight, bishop takes f6, and bishop takes f6 again, and in here this is the 15th move, slightly better in this position. So the game continue, the white play b4, then c6 was played, and now the queen to b3, and queen to d6, then f4 was played, and after this the knight to c7, then the rook continue to play a rook c2 and preparing for double rook, then queen the bishop to e7 preparing to attack the pawn, and also bring the knight to a6 and to protect the pawn. Then a5 was played in trying to attack the pawn, and now the b takes a5, and after this b5 was played to keep on the attack, and the white continue to play a a4 to attack the pawn. So if you capture with the pawn, the bishop. So and after this the rook takes the pawn, rook takes a4, rook takes a5. After this the rook f to c1 to double up the rook and to have the attack. And after this position, the black continue to play a queen to a3 to force the exchange. And now you have 1, 2, and 3 pawn attacking the pawn. So queen b1 was played, and now the pawn takes a takes b5 will win. So instead of capture the pawn, because the pawn can capture as the queen is pinning the pawn and he's able to capture the bishop, the black move a queen d6, and now the pawn takes b5 and c takes b5. Then the knight to e4, and this is a very strong sacrifice. And in the actual game, the pawn capture the knight, then the rook takes c7, take the knight, and now the rook able to attack the bishop, two of the bishop, and bishop to a8. Then after this, the bishop take the pawn, because you have been protected by the queen. So the bishop, and the queen takes the bishop, and after this position, the white is winning a pawn in the exchange. So after this, the rook to a1, and here if you capture the rook, then the queen will capture the rook, and this is one of the action. But this sacrifice will be a tactical blunder, and if you capture the rook, then the queen will capture back. Then queen to c6, and now the white is clearly better in this position. So the queen back to b8 to protect the pawn, and now queen to d5. We have a very strong threat as well, be able to capture the pawn. After this, the rook back to f8 and protect. And after this position, the white is completely winning with the brilliant idea of sacrifice. I give you a couple of seconds to figure out how the white continue to play. Well, congratulations for those who found the answer, and for those who like to enjoy the show, here are the brilliant moves that the white play and sacrifice the piece for the win. And in the actual game, the brilliant move is to use the knight to capture the f7 pawn, and after this, the white is clearly winning a piece. And in this game, in the actual game, the black move b4, and after move the b4, you have the brilliant checkmate in 3, and this is called a smothered mate. So after the white move knight to h6, and the black resign, and if the game to continue, this knight and the queen is double attack the king, therefore the king need to move away, and if the king move to king h8, then the queen make a sacrifice to queen g8, and again there is nothing can block the check, only to capture the queen. And after the rook capture, then the knight will go to f7 and checkmate. So back to this position where the knight attack the pawn. So the only way to save this is to capture with the rook. Rook take f7, and after rook takes f7, then the rook at a will go to f8 and pinning the queen and able to capture the queen, and the king is being pinned. So after rook to a8, then you will be winning, and therefore the queen need to capture back, then the queen will capture back and check the king, and after this bishop back to f8 to block the check, then the pawn will just continue to play a d5, d6 and promote, or you can use a double pawn to attack. So basically after this check, it will be winning for the white. So if the game to continue, you can just play a d5, then b4, then you can play a e4, then b3, then e5 and b2. Then after this, you can just move the queen to protect the b file square from the pawn to promote, and now the two pawn will just continue to promote a queen. And with this, thank you.